Hey everyone, I got an exciting video for you today. I have my friend Paul White with me today. How you doing, Paul?
I'm great. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing very well. So, if we're honest with each other, which we always are, I did not know Paul 2 weeks ago. I ran into Paul at Jim Ingersoll's event. We got to talk a little bit, shared our story, and he came up to me, reached out, and said, "I'd like to get know more about you." And we talked, and I learned a little bit about him. He's actually a practicing orthodontist, works about half time. And I'm like, you know what? Doctors, dentists, lawyers, folks that have high income jobs, go to school for a long time. I haven't had one of those on the show yet, so I was really excited to get Paul on the show, and thank you for joining.
So I'm the virgin doctor of the group. Is that what this is turning into?
I think that's what that is. Yes, it is.
It's my first orthodontist.
Yay! Channel's growing.
Well,
Funny.
that's just because we're late to the game. That's the problem.
Well, you all go to school through your 20s, and then you probably come out, most of you, with six figures in debt. At least that's what I hear. And
Yes, and bigger today than before.
yeah, and it probably takes you a decade to pay that off before you can really start thinking about real estate. Is that kind of a fair assumption?
Well, it is. And then there for me, it was just a mindset thing. So, had I known what I know today, I'd be in a different place. Because, we were just told, work hard, be really good at what you do, and save your money and pay off all your debt, sort of a Dave Ramsey kind of thing. And now a lot of things that I was taught turns out aren't exactly the most effective way to go. So I'm sort of late to that game. And so that's why I met you at Jim Ingersoll's, making up for lost time.
Yeah, well, let's just acknowledge we were both, our age group was raised with, and I've shared this many times, right? Go to school, get a good education so you can get a good job so you can get nice stuff, right?
That's right.
I was told that it was frankly the definition of success. So when you graduated from college and went off to be a practicing orthodontist, when I graduated with my MBA and went off to a six-figure income, we quote unquote did what we were told to do, right? We were quote unquote successful.
That's right.
Yeah, and then at least for me, my 20s happened, and I got to my 30s and realized I'd spent a lot of money and had nothing to show for it except some stuff. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad woke me up. So do you remember what your event was when you sort of looked up and said, you know what, I need to do things different, Paul?
Well, I guess my aha moment was understanding the difference between income and wealth. And I guess the big moment, I had been doing some other masterminds, and my eyes were being slowly opened. I've always been in the slow reading group. So
I'm not sure I believe that, but okay.
Well, actually, I hate to admit it, but I was in the no reading group. And now I've realized that all the successful people I've ever met, not only write books like you do, but read lots of them. So so I'm frantically reading books and playing the catch-up game because, dental anatomy and medical books and all that don't really prepare you for a wealth. They prepare you for, an income, a job with nice income. And so I've gotten to that point where I realized I had the golden handcuffs, where I was making good money, but I had to be there all the time to make income. And so the word freedom was a different concept for me then. So, now I understand it a lot better. And this big word passive income is sort of, been my mantra these days. So, and as I tell all my other medical friends, they're like, what? So,
what is that?
There's still a lot of people out there that need to hear this message. So,
well, that's good. I'm really glad that you joined, and we're both this way, right? We just share honestly with where we are and what we went through. And sure, some people might poke fun at us or go, whatever they're going to say, but it is who we are. So we just own it and we move forward. So that's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you do the best with the information you have at the time. So I have a lot more information that's actually more practical, and like you, I'd like to share that with other people. So that's been my why for a while now.
Yeah, very cool. And just the last thing, and then we'll sort of get into what's keeping you busy today.
Sure.
Selling hours, which is what we both did for significant hours. Even when you come home and you have that income or check or whatever hit your account, you're still selling hours. And until someone creates a day stretcher, we all are limited by 24 hours a day. And
that's right.
That's the aha moment, the wake up call that we have to go forward. So with that, why don't we talk about what you've done so far? What's keeping you busy today in the real estate investing world, and sort of break that down for me.
I've done a little bit of everything. So, had some single family homes, a couple multifamily, done some syndications, and some self storage. Actually, just did a self storage syndication where I was on the good side of that this time, on the promote side. So that was actually fun, and we've got a few more of those in the pipelines. But what's got my attention these days is selling notes, buying and selling notes. So that one appeals to me because no one's calling me to say, you need a $1,400 skylight, or just decided to leave and trash your house. So those actually appeal to me.
Very, very cool. So lots there to break down. Let's give each their little attention, because they're so interesting to the folks watching this. So let's break down syndication first, right?
Sure.
We can break down either side first. We'll do both. One where they're promote and one where you're the investor. So you pick where you'd like to go. Actually, why don't you just talk about the self-storage where you were on the promote side? Why don't you sort of break that down, what it looked like, why it was right, if you don't mind?
Yeah, well, what's funny is in some of the masterminds I'm in, there's a demand for self-storage. As a matter of fact, it's probably per square foot the most profitable real estate investment there is. And the best thing about that is there's not a whole lot of laws protecting somebody's junk in their self-storage bin. If they're not paying their bill, you just simply put a lock on it. And nowadays they're even electronic, so you just flip a switch. So
right.
So that is just probably the most easiest to manage of all the real estate out there, as far as having a tenant, if you will.
Very cool. And so yeah, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is, so there's just such a big demand. Everybody's doing self-storage now. So there's a lot of money out there chasing a bunch of deals, and it's hard to find it. So all my friends are going, we try to get into these self-storage deals. As soon as it opens up, it's done within a couple hours. And so, it was nice to bring a bunch of my friends and investors to the deal and have the place at the table for them. And they all appreciated that. And I like the feedback of being able to help them. And so that to me was really rewarding. That was actually fun. So,
yeah, well, that's really the key with all this real estate investing. And it's really why you go out and you learn and you network. Is real estate is, no matter what it is, whether it's a self-storage building, an apartment building, a house, it's finite. Typically there is one seller, right? Or maybe it's a collection, but it's one asset. And when the deal's done, paperwork signed, somebody controls it, off the market. So, hence lots of people chasing, I don't know what you want to call them, deals or opportunities or assets today in the syndication space, right? There's a mantra that almost bigger is better today, right? The Grant Cardones
yes.
of the world and the like. So tell us a little bit about, the storage unit, how many, I don't know what you call them, spaces or units, or what you don't have to give me specifics, but how big and where is it? Where part of the country?
Well, it's in Columbia, South Carolina. I've done so many the last couple of times. I'm not quite sure how that is, but the big deal for me, I really like the value add proposition. So there was actually a warehouse right across the street, and they were going to turn that into air conditioned, climate control, self storage, and there's none in the area. So you talk about having a captive audience, and then all the demographics and the studies that they did made sense. So it was a really an easy deal to promote. And for me, what's fun is that we've got a lot of people that when I've done some syndications where all the guys on the promote side, none of them had any money in the deal.
Yeah.
And those make me nervous, because if the deal goes south, there's no skin off their nose to just trash that one and move on. So,
right.
All the guys I'm invested with, and me as well, we all have skin in the game. And so, we're all in it together, and it's not like I'm taking advantage of anybody. We all get the same results. And the group that was promoting that, they typically, are looking for an IRR somewhere in the 15 to 18% range. And they typically outperform that by almost double at times. So, they're typically running about 5 years before you get your money back. And they in general try to do it within 2.5 and 3. So, once they've got the value add proposition completed, so they borrowed money from these investors to bring the property up to the standards that they had put forth in the PPMs. And then once they do that, then they go to the bank, and usually they have the bank arrangement already made. And so once they hit the numbers, they go to the bank, refinance, pay all the investors back. And then the beauty to the investors is they've got no money in the deal, yet money's still coming back based on what they've got into the investment. And that's really the beauty of that. So I've got lots of those going on, and those are fun.
Oh,
they
yeah.
call it an infinite return.
Yeah. Those are, Those are that's what we all dream of. But you brought something up there that I don't want to, miss, or I feel like I have to sort of speak on. And that is when you are an investor on the money side, right? Where you are putting your money in, whether it's a self-storage unit, or apartment building, or a house, right? You're the private money side on a house, for example. I strongly recommend or encourage you to think twice if you have all the money in and the investor or lead or whatever you want to call them has zero.
Amen.
I do not promote that. I mean, it does happen. And yes, some of them are profitable. I get it. I have been doing this a long time. I saw the 2008 crash up front and personal. I saw people get wiped out. I saw people who borrowed significantly from private money lose the assets and walk away almost scot-free. But the people that lent them money were crushed. So, whether it's a private placement and a big thing where you're one of many, or you're a private money person in my program or anyone else, I strongly recommend you do not invest unless that investor's coming in with their skin first. And more importantly, I would like to see the investor or the lead or whoever that is get hurt first before anybody with the money gets hurt. That's something I strongly believe in. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there and I felt better.
No, that's a great point. And for me, that was somebody else is not in
We're good. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry. That's the door.
It's okay. That's why these are live and fun. It's totally fun.
Somebody said, I'll be available to interview right here.
That's okay.
UPS.
No, perfect. You're getting my book delivered. I understand. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what it was.
All right. So I think that's just really important. That the person or the lead, as we'll call them, has skin in the game, equal to greater than others. And then you need to know you need to know the expected return and time frame. And then hopefully that lead is working to exceed both of those, as you highlighted, right? They're expecting 15% in 5 years, and they shoot to beat that by X amount of time. So I think that's what you should look at.
And and the best way to tell that is to look at their track history, because there's plenty of deals. If you look at their last 10, 11, 12 deals and they're outperforming what they promised, that's actually a pretty good sign, So, and when they tell you we're committed to this deal, then it gives them more credibility.
Yeah, I would call that a signal. That's a good indicator.
If you're paying attention, right?
Exactly. So that's very, very cool. So, you talked about so much stuff, syndication, storage units. Why don't we break down like houses, right? It sounds like you did a couple of houses. Why don't we talk about what you look for, Paul, in a house and the like?
It depends on how you want to manage. I don't want to be finding tenants and changing toilets. So, I'm willing to pay the 8 to 10% fee.
Amen.
and just kind of sort of figure out my time's just worth more than that. So, and some people want to do it all, and God bless you. But sometimes if you really value your time and you use it wisely, that Michael Gerber book, says you want to be working on your business, not in it. So if you're changing toilets, that's probably not the best use of your time. So with that said, I always sort of figure you've got to understand and trust the property managers. And what's so different is I've got them in different places, and typically they're in boring places. I'm not looking for a big equity play, although I want to have equity in the deal when I first buy, because as we all know, money's made when you purchase. Your deal's made in the purchase, not in anything else. And so you can't. Hope is not a strategy. Hoping this is going to get bigger. So anyway, so we're in pretty stable markets where the rents are stable, and so regardless of what the economy's doing, people are paying the rent, and I like that. I like it when they pay the rent. So.
Yeah, so let's throw out a couple of boring places, like for where? What big cities or cities?
Well, I've got some in Kansas City. I've got some outside in Indiana, right outside of Chicago. I try to stay outside some of these blue states, like your California ones are great, but I worry about the legislature sometimes and what they're going to do. So
you and me both.
so like I said, if you've got to get rid of a tenant in a self storage, you just put a lock on the door. And in California, I think it's a longer process to foreclose. So
yeah, it's a little. It's like it's a little bit longer. It's
yeah,
like,
I'm just thinking, So anyway, so where the location and who you're doing business with. So what's interesting to me is over the years is looking at the different property managers, and we don't think about, all right, so what if a tenant leaves? What's that going to cost you? And what are they going to charge you to find another tenant? And it's all over the map. I mean, some people are charging you another tenant acquisition fee on top of them leaving. Some don't have much of a penalty at all. Some have a very stiff penalty and discourage that. So I just find that there's a lot of variability in what the property manager is doing. It's sort of like orthodox. Everybody just assumes we all do the same thing, and nothing could be further from the truth. So really, you got to do your due diligence on your property managers as well, and make sure you're in an area that you want to be in. So
yeah.
If you like a ride, then you can grab some of those coastal states and watch that that equity going up and down. I'm getting older. I don't have the heart for that kind of stuff anymore. So.
Yeah, again, you're dropping so many nuggets here. I just want to go back and highlight them. First and foremost, like you, I have no interest. If there was something beyond no interest, that would be me to property manage my own stuff, right?
Right.
You said it really well. My time's worth more than that. Frankly, the people that, hopefully most of the people that watch this are us, right? We're busy full-time professionals that see that real estate investing could be that thing that unlocks the future. And I got to tell you, you're talking about splitting minutes of your day, people. And I could tell you the last thing you want to do is be in a meeting, see your tenant's phone number come up on your phone and get out and go, the toilet's plugged up or, something broke or leaked, or stop it. If your deal is so skinny where you can't afford to pay 8 or 10%, don't do the deal. Just stop it.
That's right.
Right. Right. So, one rental at a time works. I strongly suggest that you look to make sure it works by having property manager, because you just don't want to do it. Trust me. At least long term, you don't want to do that. Right. It's just not a good idea. So
I agree.
Yeah. So how many it sounds like you're in multiple markets across the country. Is it like 3, 4, 5, a dozen? What are we talking?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5. And, at first the first thing I did when I got into real estate was single family.
Okay.
And then I started looking around. All right, well, let's try multifamily. So, jumped in a couple of those. And so you're just trying to find your niche and what feels right to you. I still think single family is a great way to go. You don't have to hit home runs, just good base hits all the time. And you don't have to make up all your retirement in one year, because that's usually when you get into trouble. You do things you don't normally do. So you just want to sort of develop an investing set of core values and just sort of stick to them. And if and lots of people have done very well with single family homes, and so they're sort of the bread and butter of I would say the real estate market. That's where most of the money is.
Yeah, I would echo that. And you heard my talk at Jim's event, right? If most people could just get to 4 and shoot 4 single family homes, their future is fundamentally different.
Yes.
Right. You don't have to go from there to multifamily, to apartments, to self-storage, to climate controlled, to notes, to all these other things, right? You can be very, very happy and change your future fundamentally with 4 single family homes.
I heard you can just start with 1. That's the best way to go.
Yeah, somebody I know wrote that book. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate
if I could just hold the book up while I don't have it with me, so
that's okay. I appreciate that.
But so, you make me sound like I have real estate investing ADD. I'm all over the map. So
no. That was an evolution. That was not ADD. That was
I get bored easily, so I can't help it.
All right. Well, let's close up on notes, because that was the other thing I jotted down.
Sure.
First, obviously, notes are a little different, right? So we'll sort of talk about that, buying, selling, all of that. So we've already talked kind of why, right? But why don't we just give it some more color, if you don't mind?
Sure. And even I have a mini why with notes, because it's interesting. My grandfather died when my mother was 15, so I never knew him. And so my grandmother raised 2, I would say hellions for, and my grandma was so straight laced, but she worked in a mortgage company and really supplemented her income with second mortgages. And so it's sort of in my blood. So, and it was I wish she was still here, because I'd love to ask her questions now, about things that she used to do and what it was like. So, but, everything's in the math. I like math. And so it's easy to do. And so there's just kind of a checklist of things you look at. And if you're going to buy a note, and just figure out, again, set your parameters for what works for you. And then, there's money to be made, like much like a syndication, you can actually buy, a note inside your IRA, self-directed IRA, and then actually sell the first part of that note that would actually pay for what you have in the note. And when the note comes back to you, you got free income coming in. So again, I like free money. That's my favorite kind of money.
Yeah, it's my favorite kind of money as well. Free money, that's good kind of money. Free money avoided from the IRS, even better.
Yes, those are two of my most favorites. So.
That's very, very cool. So this has been fun. I love talking about what's keeping people busy. I know you happen to also be working on an app. Why don't we just talk about what that is real quick? Because you've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, well, it's I'm never bored. That's for sure. And which is why I still practice orthodontics a couple days a week. I love it, but it's just other things I want to do now. So you just kind of keep your hands in different things. But what was interesting to me when I started going, all right, well, I got to get some houses. I got to get some, and I'm doing, courthouse deals, and I'm, doing active turnkeys, and we're rehabbing stuff. And, Quest is saying, well, they want to pay off this note because I did some hard money lending. What's the payoff amount? Is this right? And, the next guy's called and said, we need $18,000 more for the rehab budget. I go, crap, I can't remember how much I gave him, and it's just, there's stuff everywhere.
Right.
I started going to all my friends and go, well, how are you tracking this? And one guy would have this spreadsheet and another guy would have that spreadsheet, and none of them were the same. And there was no continuity to any of it. And to be honest with you, most of the investors I talked to didn't have a clue, and they still don't have a clue. So we got money everywhere, and we don't know where it is or what it's returning or how. We just trust that, when Michael Zuber tells us, well, you're going to get this great return, we just trust that it is, and it's better than the stock market, which we all know it is anyway, that those that have been around. But in reality, understanding what's going on with your portfolio is confusing. So I asked my son, can you make me a spreadsheet? Because I've always been the guy that never reads a direction. I just figure it out. And Excel has been that one that I'm not as good at, and he's an expert. And so he said, you really need more than a spreadsheet. So we've actually started developing an interactive app built on the same programming language as Facebook. So, and so it's a way for me to recoup some of the investment I made with him with his education. So I have all these ideas in my head, and they come out of my head and onto the computer screen, and it's just incredible to watch what he's done. And so we're just now getting the first part of it done, but it's going to be multifaceted. So it's going to cover all these ADD things I've got going on with syndications, notes, and all these things together. And it's going to be just one of these things that you won't be able to do without. I mean, it'll do everything, and it'll link all your accounts. You'll know what you've got, how much you've got to invest, what you've got to invest, what the returns are. I mean, I'm so excited about it, I can't stand it. And my son he'll ask me a question, and he'll want a yes or no answer. And I'm like 3 years down the road telling me where it's going to go. And he goes, just answer the question, please. So
let me repeat the question.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So anyway, we're really excited about that.
Yeah. So you should be, because, as I talk a lot about real estate and have different investors I work with that have, I'll call it a portfolio, because that's what it is, of their money in different places.
Yes.
And all of them have asked me at one point or another, how the heck do I track this? Yeah. I trust you, and I trust so-and-so, and I trust so-and-so. But, at the end of the day, it should all come back into one place, and Excel's probably not the best place for that to live. So
no, this is pretty incredible, because it will track and send you reminders for everything you need to do. It's just, what's really neat for me is whatever's in my head, I just tell him, and he'll get around to it eventually. So we're the first real estate part of it is almost done. It'll probably be ready in April, and we'll probably have just a soft launch, and then by the summer we should have something pretty good going. So
I'm going to surprise you and ask this question. If you don't have an answer, that's fine.
Sure.
But I'm imagining some people watching this channel are going to want to be, I'll call them beta testers. You call it a soft launch, whatever you like. If somebody wanted to potentially do that, how would they reach out to you and get on the list or get notified? How do you want to do that?
Well, the app is called Real Numbers. RealNumberz.com. So you can hit us at info@realnumbers.com. We've got some beta testers now, but when we get to a little farther along the line, we may be looking for others, or we want to let you know when the app's available. But I'm telling you, the beta testers and the guys I've talked about, I said, listen, I want this to be the one piece of software you can't do without. So that's my vision for what it's going to do. And I'm excited about it, because it's solving a lot of problems for me. And really, you and I are about just solving problems for people.
That's all I'm focused on now. So again, Real Numbers with a Z.com.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So let's rewind the clock. You really are never bored. You have you have lots of stuff going on, which is awesome. But let's not everybody doesn't start there, right? With as you've said, ADD
Right.
for real estate investments.
Right.
Yeah, you're an orthodontist. You're in your practice every day. You're working however many hours you're working, and you remember that first deal, or you talked about the aha moment. But what was that first deal for you? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a single family home it was in Alabama actually, and what attracted me to it, as a matter of fact, I said I'll take the deal, and they actually gave it to somebody else, and we had been back and forth with emails for forever, and I was like, whoa, and then so I ended up getting that I said I thought we said we're a deal. I said, oh, I didn't, so anyway, they backed up and I got the deal, and I ended up once it was ready to go, they rented it pretty quickly. It was making good cash. I went ahead and refinanced the cash. I kind of got all of my money back out. And so, which is pretty cool. So it was undervalued. So I like to buy properties that have some equity in them. So, I always think worst case scenario is if I buy a property and I need to sell it because things aren't going well, that's going to cost me some money. So that's all got to be built into the deal, or it's not worth doing. And I see a lot of people just chasing cash flow. And I'm always anxious about that, especially when the market starts turning down. So I think you have to have some equity in the deal too. So that's been my mantra, and it's worked really well for me. And so that first deal, when you refinance a property and you get all your money back, that's a good feeling. So.
And it still cash flows.
And it still cash flows.
Absolutely. There you go. No alligators.
No. I'm looking for at least $250 cash flow, but I'm usually more than that. But that's a bottom line for me.
That's your minimum. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And just for timelines, that first one in Alabama was what year, roughly?
A few years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but
so within the last decade.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Very, very cool. So, and again, just so everybody knows, Alabama's not where you live, right? You're in Richmond, Virginia, I believe.
That's correct. You're in Virginia, so.
Yeah. So again, out of state, right? And how did that feel, right? Because some people I talk to, they're like, nope, I want to invest in my backyard. How'd you vet it? Did you actually ever go to Alabama? Have you seen the house?
I have seen the house, and I have vetted I met the property managers before I ever did the deal. And I think that's always a great idea to go out and meet people, understand who they are, look them in the eye. I like a recommendation. We medical professionals tend to trust everybody, And so if somebody says we're going to do this for you or whatever, we just trust them, and we just, go on their word. And that's not a great way to go. I mean, it's fine, but it's just, we tend to be very trusting people, and you can get in trouble if you don't, trust but verify, as Reagan used to say, and go down and meet people and see what they've got, look at their operation, make sure they, looks like people know what they're doing, and have them show you more than the property you're looking at, make sure that's not the only property they're managing. So.
Yeah. I think that's extremely valuable, right? I believe it was Julie Holly, an interview I had probably 3 months ago or so. She was looking at estate investing, and she made a comment, like, just off the cuff, that she was, going to go in and buy something. I'm like, I asked her, like, so when are you going to go see it, or when are you going to go meet the people? And she's like, I had no plans. I'm like, stop, time out. You're talking about putting $50,000 in a city you have never been to with people you've never met in person.
Yeah.
Help me understand why you think that's a good idea. Because maybe I'm just an idiot. So you tell me. And, quickly it boils down to is, yep, I guess I got to get on a plane. I'm like, yep, I guess you got to get on a plane.
I wonder if she responds to those internet calls, the mails you get where you got money locked up from your sultan from some,
Brunei or something. Yeah. No,
you just give me $50,000, I can access that money, right?
Yeah, and you'll get a 1,000% return. Yeah. No, I'm
right.
sure. Yeah. She's a very
I do see a lot of people chasing cash flow and not verifying what's there. I see it all the time. And even in these syndications, I always look behind the scenes and say, okay, let me see their debt. What's going on here? And if they won't show me that, because I've had a couple of guys that go, we're getting 18%. And I called the guy up and said, okay, we just want to see your numbers. He said, well, here's how much money we get. I said, no, I'm not asking you how much money's coming in. I want to see your debt and see your books.
Right.
And he said, well, we don't show that. And I said, well, neither did Madoff, so we're out, And so,
exactly.
just because you're getting a return, you're getting 18% return, and they're sending you money, you've got $100,000 sunk into a deal, and you're getting 18%. Well, you're not getting your $100,000 out. You haven't made any money on the deal until then. So you want to make sure they've got the ability to pay you back. So
let's hit that one more time, because I'm afraid of two things. Because and this goes for syndication and turnkey providers, the same, and it's what you just said. If you don't go evaluate them and look at the numbers and how it's all coming together, they could very easily rob from Peter to pay Paul, i.e.
No doubt.
Madoff, right? Whatever you want to call that, pyramid scheme, whatever. And all they're doing is their job. They're essentially marketing companies, and their job is to go out and get the next new piece of cash, so that they can pay off the 18% on the past lenders. Now, clearly, not everybody is like this, and I would dare guess most aren't like that.
That's right.
However, some are. And if you don't go do your due diligence and check it out and talk to other people and see the numbers, it might work out. But guys, might work out. That's not the way to go.
Yeah, that hope is not a strategy, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, once you do all that, then you want to protect yourself with paperwork too. So you want to be on a lender's title policy, not on an owner's title policy, and just things like that. So if something changes, and they try to sell that property again, you're going to be the first to know about it. So I've seen guys do that too. They're not listed on the hazard insurance, and they're not listed on the title policy, and lots of things can happen if you don't know what's going on. So.
Amen. Yeah, do your due diligence. So just the last plug on this. So I think syndications are great when done well. I think turnkey providers are great when done well. And I think lots of people watching this will go that route. But please go to the city. Do not put your money in cities you won't go to. That's probably a clue, right? I'm just going to pick on Timbuktu, right? If you're talking about investing in Timbuktu and you're not willing to go there, I suggest not putting your money there. And I use Timbuktu just so I don't pick on any city and I get hate mail from people that live in that city. It's just funny what happens on the internet. So I think that's great. So, why don't we fast forward a little bit? 3 to 5 years, are you still practicing part-time as an orthodontist? Or you finally pulled the ejection and sold your practice? Are you still ADD and investing? What's going on in your world, Paul?
That's a great question. I see a bunch of different things going on. I have a skill that most don't. And so there's a need for what I do, and I enjoy it. So I may not be in the ownership position, but I'll still be doing a little bit of it. So I need a little more freedom. And, owning that kind of job, as, Kiyosaki would tell us, is owning a job. And so there's not freedom in that. But as long as I can continue to practice, I will still do that. I love it. And we do some valuable things for people and that most people can't do. So I don't want the skill to die with me. So I want to teach some other people how to do that. And then as far as real estate goes, I'm so passionate about that. I can't see not ever doing that. And one of the things that I love is, as I get older, real estate's going to be way easier to do than orthodontics. So that's my exit strategy. I'll exit into, full-time real estate of some kind. So.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things you brought up there again that we just got to make sure people realize is just because you can be done doesn't mean you have to, right? You have options, right? If you love what you do and hey, if you do it for free or you're paid for it, but you love what you do, keep doing it. You don't have to be done just because you met some artificial number, right? If it fills your cup every day to help people and do something no one else can, by all means, go for it. But
absolutely, because in the end, it's all about your why you do what you do, and it's doing something that you make the choice. That's freedom. So if you choose to go in and continue to do that, that's because you like it and you're helping people. That's great. That's part of my why, And so, so for me, that's just a part of it. And but to be able to have the freedom to go away for a while and not have to be there that's why the ownership piece has got to change. So
yeah, exactly.
But other than that, it's just that's your freedom.
Yeah, very cool. So I am curious. I usually don't ask this, but because we have children around the same age, I'll ask you. Have your kids sort of latched on to real estate investing, or they're like, nope, that's dad thing, I'm staying away from it? I'm just curious because mine said I'm staying away.
One of them has, the one that we're doing the app with. He's actually been going to masterminds with me. One of the coolest things for me, because we've been talking about legacy at a couple of these things. What are you leaving behind?
Yeah.
I sort of take the Warren Buffett approach. I don't necessarily need to leave him a lot of money. It's not that I might not, but it's just, I've seen it ruin people because if they don't know how how they got it or how to maintain it.
Yeah.
So that's an important piece, is just the education. But so this real estate app that we're working on, my son actually quit his job because he's got this entrepreneurial spirit that he didn't have before. He had the same mindset that I had: get a job, be good at what you do, get a good job, and work hard at it, right? And so he's breaking out of that mold, and I feel like that's just a huge win.
Awesome.
Because he envisions this company, he envisions all this stuff happening, and he's just got a different mindset just in the last year. So it's really exciting for me. So
that's
if I do nothing else, I think I can drop the mic on that one. So
no, yeah. Well done, sir. Well done. Yeah, as a dad myself, good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun for me, Paul. I had a great time. I think
me too.
I think people will get a big kick out of this. I love what you're doing. I'm going to stay connected with you because I'm going to keep watching your ADD and all this other syndication stuff. There's lots of stuff I can learn from you. So I appreciate you reaching out and shaking my hand at the event. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been great to know you. I look forward to hearing more about the things that you're doing. I feel like I've got a pretty good idea, but your story is a compelling story, and it gives everybody hope to know that working hard is not the answer, right? Yeah. Working smart and making good decisions. And if you guys hear one word, it's passive income. That's 2 words actually, but passive income is the key to your freedom, and freedom is what we all want.
Amen. That's a great place. We'll drop the mic right there. Thank you so much.